Hello, my friends. Welcome to Bible and Revelations. This is episode 59B. Part 2 of Daniel 5. Let's see, where were we? Okay. Chapter 5, the book of Daniel, the feast of Belshazzar, and he desecrates the Jewish temple. His father had robbed the Jewish temple when he took over Jerusalem and brought all the Jews to Babylon as slaves. But he let them keep their religious artifacts to placate them so that they would not rebel and they would be good slaves. But his son, Belshazzar, does not honor the agreement. He goes into the palace, into their temple, takes all their gold and silver goblets and passes them around his party, and makes everybody drink and honor his gods of stone and silver and gold that he made. Then a hand comes, writes on the wall, and scares him. And now he's offering a third of his temple, a third of his kingdom, to anybody that can interpret what the hand was writing on the wall. The term, he sees the handwriting on the wall. At that time, all the wise men of the king were coming in, but they were not competent enough to read the writing itself or to make known to the king the interpretation. Consequently, King Belshazzar was very much frightened, and his complexion was changing within him, and his grandees were perplexed. Nobody can understand the writing. No one can figure it out. As regards the queen, because of the words of the king and his grandees, she entered right into the banquet hall. The queen answered and said, "O king, keep living even to times indefinite. Do not let your thoughts frighten you, nor let your complexion be changed." She's saying, live forever. Don't be afraid. Don't turn white with fear. There exists a capable man in your kingdom, in whom there is the spirit of holy gods. And in the days of your fathers, illumination and insight and wisdom like the wisdom of gods were found in him. And King Nebuchadnezzar, your father himself, set him up as chief of the magic practicing priests, the conjurers, the Chaldeans, and the astrologers. Even your father, O king. She's saying your father honored this man. He was the smartest. He could figure stuff out. Maybe you should consider him. For as much as an extraordinary spirit and knowledge and insight to interpret dreams, and the explanation of riddles, and the untying of knots had been found in him, in Daniel, whom the king himself named Belshazzar, now let Daniel himself be called. Okay, so the king is Belshazzar, but Nebuchadnezzar called Daniel Belshazzar. And she's saying, now let Daniel himself be called, that he may show the very interpretation. Accordingly, Daniel himself was brought in before the king. The king was speaking up and saying to Daniel, at this time, Daniel's probably around 80 years old. I don't know if that matters, but some say he was very confident. He was always very confident. He didn't care what a king said to him, or a police officer, or a bum on the street. He treated everybody the same. He was confident that God would take care of him, And if someone killed him, so be it. They don't control his soul. Jehovah controlled his soul. But also, he was 80 years old, so some say that led to his a diffident attitude toward the king. The king was speaking up. Accordingly, Daniel himself was brought in before the king. The king was speaking up and saying to Daniel, "Are you the Daniel that is of the exiles of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Judah? I have also heard concerning you that the Spirit of gods is in you, and illumination and insight and wisdom extraordinary have been found in you." Wisdom extraordinary. Extraordinary wisdom have been found inside you. Now there have been brought in before me the wise men, the conjurers, that they may read this very writing. He points at the wall. Even to make known to me its interpretation. But they are not competent enough to show the very interpretation of the word. And I myself have heard concerning you that you are able to furnish interpretations and to untie knots themselves. Now, if you are able to read the writing and to make known to me its very interpretation, with purple you will be clothed, with a necklace of gold around your neck, and as the third one in the kingdom you will rule. He will make him rich and give him a third of the kingdom. At that time, or the third person in line that rules the kingdom. At that time, Daniel was answering and saying before the king, "Let your gifts prove to be to you yourself, and your presents do you give to others." He's saying, "No, thank you. I don't want any of your presents. You can give them to somebody else. However, I shall read the writing itself to the king, and the interpretation I shall make known to him. As for you, O king, the Most High God himself gave to Nebuchadnezzar, your father, the kingdom, and the greatness, and the dignity, and the majesty." So he's saying God has honored you just as he honored Nebuchadnezzar, and you are blessed with the kingdom and greatness and dignity and majesty. And because of the greatness that he gave him, all peoples, national groups, and languages proved to be quaking and showing fear before him, whom he happened to want to. He was killing. And whom he happened to want to, he was striking. And whom he happened to want to, he was exalting. So he's saying, God gave this kingdom to Nebuchadnezzar, now he gave it to you, and he will kill who he wants, he'll strike who he wants, and he will exalt whoever he wants. And whom he happened to want to, he was humiliating. And God will humiliate whoever he wants to. But when his heart became haughty, and his own spirit became hard, so as to act presumptuously, he was brought down from the throne of his kingdom, and his own dignity was taken away from him. And from the sons of mankind he was driven away, and his very heart was made like that of a beast. And with the wild asses his dwelling was. Vegetation they would give him to eat, just like bulls. And with the dew of the heavens his own body got to be wet, until he knew that the Most High God is ruler in the kingdom of mankind, and that the one whom he wants to, he sets up over it. Well, we got to stop there again. I got to get a new camera. This will only record 10 minutes. So he's telling King Belshazzar that God rules everything, and that kind of reprimanding him for violating the Jewish church. We'll have to leave there right now. Leave that off right now, and I'll get back to you next week. Remember to pray the Lord's Prayer. Be an organ donor. Give your heart to Jesus. Thank you. God bless you.